Hello, my name is Lillian Akibe. Welcome to my channel. If you've been following me here on YouTube or on Instagram for a while now, then you know that I love DIYs. Like, DIY is a very crucial part of my hair care routine because I hardly use store-bought products. So, like, apart from shea butter and Jamaican black castor oil, DIY is like what I use like on a regular. I'm one of those people that believe that DIYs, there are certain benefits that you can get from DIYs that you cannot get from store-bought products because DIYs are fresh. Most times when you do DIYs, you're getting your products fresh from the farm, fresh from the plants, like, so you're using them totally fresh, unlike store-bought products. Also with DIYs, you have full control of the kind of ingredients that go into your hair. You can pick out what your hair likes and leave out what your hair does not like when you use DIYs. That said, not using DIYs correctly can cause damage to your hair. It can make you sick. It can even cause death. Like, it's that serious. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing some mistakes that people make when they use DIY. So if that's something that you're interested in, then please keep on watching. The first mistake people make when they use DIYs is that they really do not know the purpose of the ingredients they are putting into their DIY mixtures or DIY concoction. I see that a lot even here on YouTube and like offline. I see that a lot. People just, okay, you hear that this ingredient is good for the hair and this is good for the hair, so you just add everything together and combine and say that you're making a DIY. The thing is that just like when you're cooking your food, ingredients, there are different ingredients that perform different roles. All together they come together to make your food delicious. That's how DIYs are. It's like you're cooking something, but just that for food you're cooking something that you want to eat, but for DIYs you're cooking something that will benefit your hair. So before you go on to make any DIY mixture, DIY concoction, you have to first ask yourself, what am I looking to achieve by using this DIY? So if you're looking for something like softening, your hair is dry, your hair is hard, your hair is brittle, you should go out to look for ingredients that are going to soften your hair, like nourish your hair and that kind of thing. If your hair is limp, lifeless and things like that, then when you're looking out for ingredients to put into your DIY, there should be ingredients that are strengthening, you know, those kind of things. So you should not just go out just because a certain ingredient is good for the hair, then you just add everything together not knowing what they do. So for example, there's something I see a lot on YouTube, DIY deep conditioner. People add mayonnaise, eggs, olive oil. Like, if you think about it, mayonnaise is made with eggs. Like 90% or like 80% of the ingredients in mayonnaise is eggs already. Like, to make mayonnaise, what you need: egg, oil, olive oil. So many people use olive oil, then vinegar, or like some people also add lime and things like that. So there's no point putting mayonnaise and adding eggs to it. It's like you're adding two of the same kind of thing, and then use that particular deep conditioner every week, and then you start complaining that your hair is hard and brittle because you're adding 5 ingredients of basically the same thing that will do the same thing into your DIY concoction. So you're not going to be getting the results that you really need. Point adding 5 different things that do the same thing. For example, honey is a humectant. Glycerin is a humectant. There's really no point adding honey and glycerin if what you're trying to achieve is the humectant effect of both of them, because they are basically the same thing. You can just use one or the other, you know. So it's very important for you to know the ingredients that you're adding and what benefits they are bringing into that DIY mixture that you're doing. That will just help you, number one, not to waste ingredients that do the same thing, and it will also help you to get better results. And this also goes for Ayurveda. Like, for people that use Ayurvedic herbs, there are different herbs that have different results, like different effects. There are some herbs that have cleansing effects. There are some herbs that have strengthening effects. There are some that have conditioning effects, you know, those kind of things. I think I see a lot of people make is that they do not do a patch test before they use their DIY concoctions for the first time. There are certain ingredients that, even though they are great, they may be really good for the hair. So many other people may use it and they may like it, but if you use it, you may have allergic reactions to it. For example, onions. Like, onion has sulfur in it. Some people are allergic to that, you know. So for some people, when they get onion on their scalp or on their skin, it burns their scalp or skin. So what I mean by patch test is that when you make your concoction or when you get your ingredients, you put it like at the back of your neck, like just find a spot at the back of your neck, because most times, like, The sensitivity of the skin at the back of your neck is usually very similar to the sensitivity of the skin on your scalp. So put that ingredient or like juice or like the DIY mixture on that part of your skin, leave it for a few minutes and rinse it out. If you experience redness or like irritation or things like that, then that's a huge sign that you're allergic to it, and then you should probably not use that ingredient or that mixture for your hair, because it shows that you're allergic to it. So it's very important to do a patch test so that you're going to be reaping the benefits without having adverse reactions to the ingredients that you're using. Next thing I'm going to talk about is something that I see a lot and it really breaks my heart, is people using chemicals, preservatives or other chemicals without doing your research first. Like, when you combine different products, different food items from your kitchen to make a DIY concoction or a DIY mixture, it's relatively safe because those are things that you normally eat. So the worst case scenario, the worst thing that can happen is that you have an allergic reaction to it, which is very easily reversible. It's very easy for you to recover from. But by the time you start adding chemicals into your DIY mixtures, like, that is a whole new territory. Like, it becomes so much more complicated. We are not talking about food any longer. We're not talking about just plain allergic reactions. Now we are talking about serious issues. It can make you sick if you do not add like the right proportions of preservatives or chemicals. It can make you sick. It can even cause death. It's that serious. I see that a lot, even for many small businesses that go into, because the whole natural hair community and like natural hair products, there is like a huge market for natural hair products right now. So many people go into product formulation without really like getting trained in product formulation. Many people just do like short courses, like 2 weeks course training on how to. I see that a lot. I see ads about that a lot. People say, oh, come and learn how to produce products, learn product formulation in 2 weeks or in 1 month. Like, cosmetology and product formulation is something that people go to school for years, for up to 4 years to study. It's not something that you can learn in just a few days or like a few weeks, especially when we're talking about chemicals right now. So I feel like if you do not have any background knowledge of chemistry, you should stay away from chemicals, whether they are preservatives or like they are silicones or they are like whatever. You should stay away from them. For many of all these chemicals, there are percentages that are allowed. For like many countries, we have, oh, you should not use more than so percentage of so chemical in so products, those kind of things. But for you people that do not have background knowledge on all those kind of things, they just go ahead. Okay, you hear that, okay, this is a preservative, so I add 2 drops without like doing the math to really know how much percentage that should go into your jar of products. Just add 1 drop, or I'm adding 2 drops without really knowing how much percentage that actually is compared to like the tub of products you're making. I hope that makes sense. So I just feel like leave that to the expert. If you're doing DIYs, that does not give you the license to that you're a licensed cosmetologist. So please stay away from chemicals, because that can cause so much harm to your hair, and not just your hair but even your overall health. So please and please stay away from chemicals. And if you are a product formulator, please, you may have experience with DIYs based on certain ingredients that are great for your hair and that are great for people's hair and things like that, but when you start adding chemicals into it, it is a whole new territory. So please, if you are a product formulator and you do not have background in chemistry for the skin and the hair, please consult a chemist before you produce anything. There was a time I got a hair product. I got a hair product straight from the business owner, and just a few days after getting it, I noticed that molds were starting to build in the tub of product that I got. I think it was a deep conditioner, I think, or like, I can't really remember whether it was a deep conditioner or a leave-in conditioner, but it was a product. And just after a few days, mold started growing. It's like I was just so shocked. I contacted the business owner like, hey, did you use preservative in your product, blah blah blah, and she said yes, she used basically. But I was here seeing molds in the product just a few days after getting them, like, and I did not do anything out of the ordinary to them. Like, I basically just used them once and just kept them. I did not use them again, and I was seeing modes building in them. Like, it just makes me sad that many people just want to cash in or cash out. Like, many people that produce natural hair products, especially here in Nigeria, because there's really nobody that goes to check all these things. So many people that produce hair products do not really are quacks. They are not licensed. They have really no idea of what they are doing when it comes to the chemicals that they use. So many hair products are just glorified DIYs. Like, sadly, it's sad to say, but that's the truth. Many hair products are just glorified DIYs, and it really breaks my heart because I feel like it's one thing to be putting yourself at risk. It's another thing to let people pay money to buy something from you, and potentially be putting those people at risk. They are paying money to be at risk. So thing I'm going to talk about is very similar to my previous point, and that's the fact that people make DIYs without preserving their DIYs properly. Like I mentioned earlier, if you have no scientific background, please just stay away from chemicals. That said, if you're making a DIY concoction where you're going to add water, or you're going to add something like aloe vera juice into it, then you need a preservative. You need to preserve it or it's going to decay. When you add water and nutritious substances together, that's a good breeding ground for bacteria, fungi, and like other microorganisms that can make you sick. So it's very, very important for you to preserve. It's just like your food, basically. So personally, I do not like to keep my DIY concoctions. I make and use on the same day. So I make and use on the same day. I do not keep. But if you must keep your products, I highly recommend that you should not keep it more. You should keep them refrigerated, and you should not keep them for more than 5 to 7 days. Anything more than 7 days, you should throw it away and make a new batch. And make sure you keep them 100% refrigerated, just to prevent putting yourself and your loved ones at risk. The thing I'm going to talk about is you creating DIY products. Creating DIY products that you leave in your hair with water. Aloe vera has 90% water in it. Ginger has water in it. Like, if most of all those juices have water in them. Even if you're not using a juice, if you're using like an oil and you're going to add water into it, or you're using a butter and you're going to add water into it, like that just creates a good breeding ground for bacteria. So if you're making something that you're going to wash off immediately, for example a deep conditioner, then please go ahead, you can make your products with water, because in the next like maximum 1 to 2 hours, then you're going to rinse the product out, then you don't have any problem. But if you're going to making something that is going to be a leave-in, that you're going to leave in your hair, then I highly recommend that you create products that do not need water. And if it's going to have water, then you want to make sure that your hair completely dries in the next 12 hours. If your hair is not going to dry in the next 12 hours, then you should not use it. You should not use it without a preservative. Meaning, since I said that you should not use preservatives when you do not have science background on those chemicals, then that means that if you're going to make a living, then try to make your living such that it does not have water in them. If you watch my videos, you know that I hardly use stuff where I'm going to be adding water, I'm going to leave in my hair. The thing is, just like I said earlier, that when you make your product, if you're not going to be using on the same day, then you should preserve them in the fridge. You should also think about that when you're putting it in your hair. So if you're putting the product in your hair, your hair is not a fridge, so just like the product is going to decay if you leave it just on the table outside the fridge, it's also going to decay in your hair. Like, it's going to invite bacteria to your hair because it's wet and you're leaving it for a long period of time. So what will happen? You're going to start having issues like fungal infection on your scalp. You're going to start having itchy scalp and different kind of things, and for some people it can even make them sick. So I highly recommend that if you're making a leave-in, something that you're going to create and leave in your hair, please make sure that even if it entails using a blow dryer to dry your hair, make sure that you dry your hair within the next 12 hours or just stay away from using leave-ins, making leave-ins that require you to add water, or DIY products that have water in them, like aloe vera juice, ginger juice, or basically any kind of juice for that matter. Another mistake that many people make when they use DIY is that they put everything putting every ingredient in the same DIY product, or switching up your DIY product all the time. If you watch my videos on reasons why your hair is not growing, I talked about switching up your product all the time, like using this different products every wash day can damage your hair. In that same way, switching up your DIY ingredients every time can also damage your hair, because you're basically confusing your hair and adding so many things at the same time. So I highly recommend that when you're creating your DIY concoction, the fact that it's just like cooking. When you cook food for you to eat, apart from, despite the fact that like there are different foodstuffs that are really good, like there are some things that go together and there are some things that don't go together, the same principle applies when you're doing your DIYs. You cannot just add every good DIY ingredient in the world and add it together to make a concoction, and I think that it's going to do your hair good. Like there are certain things that go well and certain things that do not go well. So do not add everything in one DIY. Also, try not to keep switching up your products all the time. Have your staples, stick to it. Then once in a while you can add a few ingredients here and there. This video, let me give you guys a close up of what my hair looks like. I'm wearing braids. I have like 30 braids altogether in my hair, so I just like brought out to attach some beads like this, and then I put the rest up in a bun, and then I added some hair rings. Yeah, that's what we have going on right now. So with that, we come to the end of this video. If you found it helpful, if you learned one or two things, then please give me a thumbs up and comment down below what you learned. Thank you so much for watching. See you in my next video.